Elon Musk makes a pessimistic economic outlook. According to the serial entrepreneur, data from his numerous businesses indicate that the U.S. economy is already in a minor recession. The American businessman has altered more than just the century-old automobile industry, so the problem could get worse. Not only can he defeat opponents on Mars, but he also puts in 3 times as much work as ordinary individuals. He recently spoke with Tucker Carlson and covered a wide range of subjects. The United States' economic future is one of them, the issue with the financial industry, and the reason why everything is much worse than it seems, how to avoid a crash in the financial markets. Are we on the verge of a new Great Depression? Let's find out all these things in this video. Since Elon Musk is not an economist, his viewpoint on the state of the economy is not taken into consideration. His critics would assert that he will respond that as a corporate executive, he has ample opportunity to gauge the health and pulse of the economy. Being the co-founder and CEO of Tesla, Musk is familiar with the business, the current leader in the production of electric automobiles. He founded the satellite and rocket manufacturing company, SpaceX. He works for a boring firm, a tunneling company, Neuralink, and a company that develops artificial intelligence. Additionally, he is the owner and CEO of the social network Twitter, whose revenue is derived from advertisements. The tycoon believes that business people like himself serve as our consumers and politicians' compasses in these times of economic uncertainty, which is exacerbated by persistent inflation that is also at its greatest level in several decades. The Federal Reserve System is at the forefront of this movement. For those who don't know, inflation measures the strength of the dollar's purchasing power. It is described as the rate of change in the cost of goods and services over a predetermined time period. Simply put, consumer spending declines when inflation rises because people can no longer afford to make as many purchases. The cost of life in the country as a whole, as well as more specialized necessities like the price of food, fuel, and heating, as well as the price of a haircut, are all taken into account when calculating inflation. Have we entered a recession? In light of this, the billionaire has started to voice strong disagreement with the Federal Reserve's monetary policy, which hikes interest rates to battle. Economists and business leaders, including Musk, have cautioned that high inflation, which affects consumers and firms, has the unintended consequence of weakening the economy and increasing the likelihood of a recession. The dispute between critics of the Fed and others who think that the current increase in the cost of goods and services justifies an additional hike in interest rates is still raging. The phone meeting on May 2nd and 3rd should take place as the situation worsens. The Chemic Group's FedWatch tool. Presently, there's an 80% chance that the federal funds rate will climb by 25 basis points from its recently extended range of 4.75% to 25%. This will cause the target interest rate to increase to between 5% and 5.25%, while rumors suggest the rates will remain unchanged in June and July. If the Fed keeps raising interest rates, the economy, which is already experiencing a moderate recession, will experience a severe recession, according to experts. In a Twitter conversation started by Harvard economist Larry Summer, he made this forecast, similar to how organizations go through general phases of expansion and decline known as their business cycle as a whole. Additionally, the economy goes through peaks that are characterized by expansion and high employment. Additionally, there will always be recessions, which are times of decline, also known as sessions. Simply said, there is a recession when economic activity is decreasing. In the 1970s, Julius Siskin, an economist, gained recognition for defining a recession as 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. However, there are a lot more aspects that modern economists take into account, which we will discuss below. If the Federal Reserve takes the required steps to control inflation, I believe that it will likely slow down. On April 19th, the former finance minister posted on Twitter, "I believe there is a good likelihood that this will occur at some point in the upcoming year, possibly 70. Musk stated on April 30 that the Fed data is excessively delayed. A mild recession has already started. Recall what I said in agreement with his viewpoint. The techno king asserts that the banking crisis he creates using a graveyard metaphor and a picture is a harbinger of the impending economic slump. He further notes that on March 10, after a raid on the bank and credit union, regulators closed the cemetery where the Silicon California Bank was recently buried. Seuss's is rapidly getting full. San Francisco-based First Republic Bank is currently in danger of going bankrupt. Based in Santa Clara, California, this location has been a lender to numerous technology businesses, offering specialized financial services industry experience, a vital network, and a good reputation. It was also a victim of the bank raid. In order to assist startups in managing their finances, optimizing their finances, streamlining their cash flows, and growing their businesses, it also offered a variety of financial services that were especially suited to their needs. These services included venture debt, corporate banking, and asset management. It established the Silicon Valley Bank in 1983, positioning it as a collaborator in order to entice customers' deposits. The innovation economy offered higher interest rates on deposits than its bigger competitors. The company then invested the money from its clients in high-yield mortgage bonds, long-term treasury bonds, and money. However, everything went wrong when the Federal Reserve started rising interest rates, which decreased the value of existing speed bonds. The bank was forced to sell the bonds at a discount to pay customer withdrawals. It had to suffer a huge loss of $1.8 billion when selling these bets on Speed B bonds because of this loss. But imagine it unexpectedly stated that it needed to raise. In order to raise $2.25 billion in fresh capital, new common and convertible preference shares were issued. Panic and a raid on the bank resulted from this choice. The canary in the coal mine is not the only example. Credit Suisse, however, who was one of the most tenacious miners, also perished, and now it is rapidly filing. A major recession will be brought on by more rate increases, the billionaire claimed at the time. You have my word preparing for criticism. According to Musk, the data he has access to, in contrast to the Fed, is a real-time snapshot of the economic environment and provides a greater understanding of what is actually happening between Tesla, Starlink, and Twitter. I possess more current mobile economic data in my thoughts than anyone else has ever had. According to the serial entrepreneur, it has recently become apparent that the U.S. Federal Reserve System, EFS, is getting ready to raise interest rates again because the data it considers when deciding on monetary policy shows an increase in inflation, in employment costs, and a March main price index for personal consumption expenditures. One of the main indicators of inflation, PC, grew by 4.6 from the previous year, despite the fact that this number is somewhat lower than the corrected 4.73 recorded in February. It is still higher than the consensus expert projection of 4.5, the basic price index for personal consumption, and the forecast of analysts, according to a Labor Department data. Expenditure climbed by 0.3 over the month, which is in line with the pace of previous month. The employment cost index rose 1.2 in the first quarter, beating expert expectations of 1.1, according to data released this week by East. The 5-point increase in private employer pay can be used to explain this gain. The carefully monitored core PC price index increased by 4.9 points in the first quarter, outpacing the 4.4 rate since the end of last year, according to one notable piece of data from the Commerce Department that was issued on April 27. One of the Federal Reserve's chosen inflation indicators is this one. These indicators all point to rising inflation, which could result in the Fed raising interest rates. Recall that the Fed paused raising the rates after rises in 2018, but it did so again by 0.20 percentage points in December of the previous year. If the economy continues to grow quickly and unemployment keeps down, other criteria like the unemployment rate and the overall rate of economic growth must be taken into account before the Federal Reserve decides to boost interest rates. This might cause inflation to rise further and motivate the Federal Reserve to hike interest rates. There is a way to lessen the damage that would occur, which will cost several $billions. Therefore, the Fed cut the rate before raising it again. Now, if I remember correctly, I'm sorry that you know what happened next? The Great Depression. Indeed. The issue is that inflation will escalate if the Fed lowers interest rates once more, and you won't be able to stop it during an election. Therefore, inflation will occur. Inflation occurs from expanding the money supply. As a result, the only way to stop inflation is to produce more products and services and so increase productivity. If you like this video, do consider liking and subscribing to our channel for more amazing content. Thanks for watching.